Hi everyone, in today's video I'll be showing you how to make a waistband. So you can make a waistband from a trouser, from a skirt, from a bodice, from a gown or jumpsuit, depending on where you want your waistband to be. Supposing you want to cut a waistband that is, let's say 10 cm, which is approximately 4 inches. Okay, so this is the 10 cm for the band. You mark it at the center front and at the side seam. Connect the line. As you can see, there is a dart on the waistband, so what you have to do is measure whatever dart intake you have. That's from here to here. So you come to your side seam and you mark. That way you'll be able to eliminate the dart. So I'm just going to be connecting it back into my side seam. So it means this dart is no longer useful because I've taken it out from my side. So it means you have to trace this on another paper. Just trace it on another paper and you either cut this off, that's this dart off, just like cut it off, or when you trace it on another paper you fold this dart out. But I'll be showing you with a smaller band. Also, just remember to repeat the same thing for the back pattern. So this is our front pattern, center front, side front. For the back you have to do it for the center back, side back. So for a smaller band, let's say it's 4 cm, which is approximately 1.5 inches, we'll just be marking it like this and like this. Then connect the line. So what you need to do is measure your dart intake. 2 cm is what I have here. Yours may be bigger depending on your body size. Then I'll have to connect this back, just blend it into my hip. I went ahead to fold the band away and then I reconfirmed my dart intake I took out at the side just to be sure. The next thing I did was to place a paper underneath my pattern. I traced around it, then used my tracing wheel to highlight the lines, then recreated the lines for it to be visible. So this arrow is just indicating that this is where our belly button is, and this is where should be attached to the remaining part of our gown or skirt or pants, depending on what you're making. So I'm just going to put close here. So I'm just trying to say close this dart. So remember that we had marked out the dart on this side. After marking out the dart at the side, then I trimmed off the band from the paper. Please mind you, when trimming out your band, once it has a dart, you have to fold the dart. After trimming out the band from the paper, I just closed the dart by folding the darts together. Then I placed the dart on my trouser pattern for you to see that we've been able to eliminate the dart just by folding the dart away. So another method you can use is to just trim the dart away from the side if you do not want to fold your dart. So I've gone ahead to trace 2 copies of my waistband. This is the one we trimmed the dart away from the side, so we eliminated the dart away from the side, and you can see here that I just stroke these areas that says close. Then for this one, I'm just repeating what I said before. I just folded it that, then I'm using a sticky tape to hold it down. So it's whichever method you prefer, that is what you should use. Both of them will give you the same results. So for the back, it's just the same thing like we did with the front. I'm just marking 1.5 inches, which is about 4 cm. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line. Then I'll put another paper underneath it, like this. Then trace around the paper. So I traced around the band with my pencil. Then I used my tracing wheel to highlight the lines and use my pencil again to make the lines more visible. So this is about 4 cm. This is 2 cm, 2 cm, which is 4 cm that I have here. I went ahead to replicate the lines that I transferred from my pattern into my new paper using my pencil and ruler. So remember that intake was 2 cm each, which amounted to 4 cm. So like I said, you can decide to just close. I've already made duplicates of this waistband, so I'll be showing you one with how to close and one with just cutting it off. So I trimmed out the band from the paper, but note that whenever you're cutting any area that has a dart, you have to close the dart area before you cut off. Okay, so I've made duplicates already. So you can see I wrote cut 2 pieces or cut 4 pieces. It depends. If you are going to use something else to turn your band, then just cut 2 pieces of this. But if you are using the same fabric to serve as a lining or as a facing for your band, then you have to cut 4 pieces for your back. So let's say the moment you fold your darts closed, it means you've already eliminated the darts. Or if you don't want to do that, you can decide to trim your darts from the sides. So they are still the same thing. It means the same thing. So because we've trimmed our darts, we don't need to close this anymore. We have eliminated the darts. So just like the front, if we decide to put our center back here, you can see that we've eliminated the dart. Or if we decide to use this other pattern, you can see that we've eliminated the dart. Both methods will give you the same result. Supposing you want a one-piece band, that is a band that is not separated from the front or the back, all you need to do is place your band on another paper. Now I'm starting with my front band. Then the next thing I'm going to do is place my side back band beside my side front band. Then I'm going to use a sticky tape to hold it together. The bands do not have to overlap, they just have to be as close as possible. Then I'm going to trace around this. After tracing, I went ahead to label each part of the band and put an arrow to indicate what each area is. So on the areas that I taped down, like right there, I'm just using my tracing wheel to trace around it. So this is going to be cut on fold. Okay. And please don't forget to add your seam allowance. So for instance, I want to be adding 1 cm all around, excluding the front. If I want my zipper to be at the side or at the back, it's up to you. So if I want my zipper to be at the back, then I should add my seam allowance here at the side, center back. But if I want my zipper to be at the front, then it means I have to add more paper and add my zip allowance for it. So if for instance I want my zipper to be at this side, that's between the side front and the side back, it means I cannot merge my side front and my side back together. It means they will have to be cut separate. They will have to be separated like this. So it means you have to cut this, the center front of fold, while you have to cut the back piece 2 times. I hope we understand. So now I'm just going to straighten every crooked line that you can see on this pattern, then add my seam allowance and show you the final result. This is what the band looks like, but the next thing I'll do is to cut the band on my fabric. The first thing you have to do is to make sure you iron Fusible interfacing on your band. Just iron it on one side of your band. Then you trim off the excess Fusible interfacing and now place your pattern on the band. After ironing the interfacing, I went ahead to trace out my pattern on my fabric. Then I transferred all my markings from my pattern paper to my fabric. Then I trimmed out all the excess fabric I no longer needed. So I'm just going to right side front, just to avoid any stories that touch. So right now this is how it's looking. So this is one of the waistband, and this will serve as a lining or a facing for it. This is for the front. Don't forget to label. So upward is the smallest part of the waist. So this is it. So I'm going to start stitching, and what I'm going to do right now is to grab one of my side back along with one of my side front, put them together and stitch. So let me pin this just for you to have an idea. Then I grab the other side, one of my side back again and one of my side front. Then I'll stitch, and I'll repeat the same with this. Now that I'm done stitching them together, I'm going to go to my ironing table and press the seams open. Then once I finish pressing the seams open on those areas I sewed, I'm going to place my waistband or waistband and waist facing. Okay, let's put it like that. My waistband, I'm going to place them right side to right side like this. Okay, so now that I'm done pressing it, what you want to do is look at the part that has the arrow. So this arrow is pointing up, so this means this is the top part of our waist, while this is going to be the part that you have to attach to the waist of the trouser. So this wider part goes to the waist of the trouser, while this top part is going to hang on the body. So I'm going to put this right side to right side like this. So I'm going to sew round like this till I get to the other part, then I'm going to backstitch at this point. So I'm going to sew with 1 seam because that is the seam allowance I added to my pattern. So you want to make sure that your seam lines, they match. You also want to make sure that your notches should match. As I was sewing, I noticed that it's not going to align by the time I'm done because the machine is actually pulling the fabric that is underneath the feet. So I'm just going to flip this over like this to the other side, then I'll begin sewing from it until I get to the side that I stop sewing, just so that my stitches and all my notches aligns. So now the machine is beginning to pull the fabric that was actually longer because I flipped it the other way. So as you can see, it has aligned now. Once I finished sewing both bands together, I went ahead to iron it and top stitch the band. After top stitching, I took the band back to my ironing table and started ironing it. So you want to iron it in a way that both bands will be equal. You don't want any band to look longer than the other. Right now, this is what it looks like. What I'm going to do is mash up my notch area. So this is my center front and this is the side that has the top stitch. This is the side that doesn't have the top stitch. So the side that doesn't have the top stitch will have to lay flat on your trouser. Then you're going to match the center front notch mark to the center seam of the trouser. So it's going to be something like this. Okay, so then I'll pin this round till I get to the end. Once you're done pinning, it should look like this. So I'm going to stitch this round inside. Then I'm also going to use my serger on the band. That's the end of the band. After attaching the band, I went to my ironing table to press the band again, but this time I'll be pressing it in a way that the other part that I didn't sew, I'm just going to tuck it in with about 1.5 cm, which is about half an inch, while ironing. Okay, so now that we are done ironing the outside, go in with an iron and set this place. So you can see the way I'm folding. So I'm just going to be folding with some seam and overlapping it with where I stitched, so that it's going to be something like this. I'm trying to give it a clean finish. While ironing and pinning, make sure your side seam match and your center notch matches your center front seam. Okay, so I am done pinning. If you look closely, you will see my stitch line showing just underneath the band. So the only way to successfully cover up that stitch line is for you to use your band to cover the stitch line just slightly below the actual stitch line. So don't fold the band just on top the stitch line, fold it to be just below the stitch line, the fabric just below the stitch line like this. Then you pin. When you're pinning, you are like spreading this open, so you're pinning from the outside, not from the inside. So the next thing we're going to do right now will be to sew, and you're going to stitch in between this very thin place. Yes, you're going to stitch just inside here, so you're stitching inside. Let me just show you. Okay, so I like to stitch from the center front because to me that is where is very important. So you'll be pulling the fabric apart like this as you're stitching, so that you can stitch inside the line. You will stitch this all round till you get to the end. You just have to keep slightly pulling your fabric at the waistband so that you can stitch in between the line or inside the line. Once you are done top stitching, then you can attach your zipper at the back. However, if your zipper is at the side or at the front, the approach is almost similar. The only difference is that instead of having an opening at the back like I have, yours will be at the side or in front. Please, if this video was valuable to you, kindly like, share and subscribe. I will be in the comment section waiting to answer any questions you have concerning making this waistband. Take care and have a great day.